Hi everybody, it's Franny, and today we're working on the Mini and this really horrible scratch here. So you can hear that the scratch is so bad, you can hear it with my fingernail, and so there's no way we're going to be able to buff this out. The story is that Heidi was parking the car in a parking lot and a sign just jumped out of nowhere and came up and just scratched the side of the car. I totally believe her. These things happen. So we're going to get to fixing this scratch. Tools and supplies we'll need. On the bottom right there is our primer. Next to that is some clear coat. And to the left of that is the actual paint, the blue paint for the Mini itself. Then to the left of that is some putty that we'll use to fill in this super deep gash in the car. And above that, some scratch putty leveler. So, and then to the left, just a small brush, but I don't think we'll be using the teeny little brush because above all this is the Airbrush. So I bought this for my model airplanes and stuff, and I use it quite a bit for those things. So it's a dual action airbrush, which allows me to spray air and then actually the paint. So it's very, you can dial it in, it can get very precise. I think this is going to be helpful for this. To the left of that is a sanding kit from Adams Polishes. Has a equivalent 2000, 2500 grit, and 3000 finishing, so we can get that paint looking just right. Then below that is all our safety equipment, our mask, goggles, and our gloves. Underneath that is some mask paper that we'll use along with some painter's tape. So I'll run you through the steps here. We're going to clean this whole area really well, and then I'm going to get in here and sand this a little bit more just so we can get some good purchase. We're going to put some putty over it after that and then level our putty. And once our putty looks good and we've got a very smooth surface, we're going to go ahead and mask a bit of this off, and we're going to spray a little bit of primer on it. When that's dry, we'll go ahead and shoot it with some color. And after the color dries, I might need to wet sand that a little bit. I'm not really certain. We'll see how that goes. And then when I'm really happy with that and it looks really good, we're going to hit it with a little bit of clear coat and probably end up sort of slightly wet sanding that as well. And then we'll buff it, and in theory, this scratch should disappear. This is the finished product. This is the area where the scratch was, and look at it now. It looks great, but I have to kind of come clean. I didn't do it. So how do you fix a scratch like this, really? Well, so you take it to some place like this. So this is a paint place we go to for our Mini, and they do a wonderful job. They've done work on this car before. I'm sure you can find one in your neck of the woods as well, but I just hate messing around with paint, and sometimes it's just easier to take it someplace. So this place here does a great job. This is totally my suggestion. I really did try to fix this. I spent days and days of work on this. I did get it patched really well, and it was nice and smooth. But my biggest problem was painting this metallic color so that I didn't get this big blotch. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through everything I did. Maybe you guys can point out where I went wrong on this. But my point with this, I suppose, is that some things are just, for me personally, are just best left to professionals. They have the right paint, they have the right clear coat, they have a booth. I have a garage I can't paint in, I have to do it outside. There's dust, there's dirt everywhere. Getting the right clear coat and getting the right orange peel is a bit of a technique, and it's kind of difficult to get right. And the shop that we use, Chip Magic, did a beautiful job on this. They just did a really great job. It looks perfect, and you can't tell at all, even looking right at it, that you can't tell at all that it was ever fixed. It looks perfect. And so the total cost, so let's talk about that. So the total cost was just over $300 for this, to get this done. So you would have to, if you're going to do it yourself, you're going to need paint, you're going to need, probably need some primer, sandpaper. You're going to have to buff it when you get done. Let's see what else. Oh, and the clear coat. And you have to, really should use that clear coat that I showed before. Is kind of crummy, crappy, bought it at an auto parts clear coat, and it would only last a few years. This is real live clear coat, 2-part clear coat that they put on the car. So you can get that in a rattle can, but it's a little bit hard to get nice, you know, a nice smooth finish on it and get it just right. I mean, these paint people really have done this. They do it day in and day out. It's one of these sort of skill-based things. So this is a great example where I was hoping I could tackle this and show you guys that it was a nice, easy process, but it really isn't. It's actually quite difficult, at least it was for me. And so, better left to the professionals. And for $300, it was worth it not to have to deal with the hassle of all. I spent days and days and days on this. In fact, across weeks, because you got to let the paint dry and this and that. And just to have them do it and do it properly was super killer. So, anyway, well, I'll go on and I'll show you quickly and narrate a little bit over the steps that I did, just because it'll be entertaining. But yeah, this was a bit of a fail for me. But in the end, we finally got it fixed and it looks beautiful. I started by digging out the scratch with some sandpaper, and then I used that red putty from the ScratchWizard.net kit, and that worked pretty well, and sanded it down to get it nice and flush. Then after that I masked off so that I could spray a little bit of primer. I used that sort of rolled paper technique to try and reduce the harsh edges of the paint. And I applied several coats of the primer, just very light, and it turned out pretty well, I'd say, but the patch was a little bit bigger than I had thought. So I went back and dressed it up and sort of removed a bit with some alcohol and things, and got it back closer to the actual size of the scratch. All right, now I was set, after I got that all cleaned up, to actually apply some paint. So the paint was also from the ScratchWizard.net little kit, and it has clear coat built into it, so I thought it would feather out pretty well, but as you can see, it didn't quite turn out all that well, and that's what it looks like. So the paint didn't really match very well at all. I did spray some clear coat over it just to sort of lock it down, but I tried sanding and all sorts of things. So as you can see, that just did not turn out. Well, in the end, we did get this completely repaired, but I was really hoping to show you a full how-to on how to do it yourself. But for me, turns out it really wasn't something I should have done or even tried to do myself. So I hope you still enjoyed the video and found it at least a little bit useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll get right to them. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, safe travels. Bye.